Well, let me tell you this. I've been thinking about what I want to talk to you about, and I know we have to get to this question, the question that we have from our listener. But I wanted to know, Jay, I'm sure you've been on a number of shows. I can imagine that people wanted to ask you about being a monk the most. But
Is that true?
That's true.
You're right.
That's 100% right.
I did my research. What I want to ask you about is, what have you been asked about in your experience the least, and how has that informed who you are as a person now?
Wow, that's a great question. That's a great question.
Like I said, I'm trying to be you. I'm trying to be you.
Well, you're doing better than me right now. You've stumped me already. The thing I'm asked about least probably is my family.
Mm.
And the fact that you're both doing this together just shows how important family is and
Absolutely.
how much it shapes us and how much it molds us. And I would say my family experiences are a huge part of why I do what I do today.
Yeah.
And I've never spoken about this before, but I have a really beautiful relationship with both my mother and father. But I mediated their relationship ever since I was a young boy.
Wow.
And so I found myself at 10 years old, sitting with them individually, listening to them, trying to understand them, giving them a shoulder to rest on, to feel seen, heard, and understood.
Wow.
And I feel that all the work I try and do today to try and help and serve the people online or wherever it be through my books or my podcast comes from, I feel I've just played that role my whole life. I remember doing it for my parents and recognizing that they were both beautiful, wonderful people, but had their differences. To be able to recognize that at an early age, I think has allowed me to not have this divided thinking of it's one or the other.
I'm just picturing 10-year-old Jay sitting down between mom and dad. Okay, now tell me what you're thinking here and what did you mean? But kids do find themselves with the level of sort of precocious empathy. You know, oftentimes kids do become the mediators in the family, and that you were 10 years old doing that.
And I would venture to say that there are more people who were in your position who turned out a mess because they were refereeing their parents. I mean, I think you gotta feel pretty good about where you are given the position you were in.
I would like to think that I took good notes and that helped a lot of what to do, what not to do.
Yeah.
And I think I'll be happy and satisfied if I figure out how we can help more people get to that. I think that's the hard part.
And yeah, that's why I wanted you here. The reason we're doing these conversations is to talk, you know, to talk through things with people, to talk through things in person, you know, with us here, hopefully shedding some light, giving people tools and, you know, some kind of direction, because everyone is looking just for a little bit of direction.
Yes.
It's like, how did you get here? How did you not mess that up? And as you know, we don't have the answers, but oftentimes it's just the conversation that people find helpful.
That actually leads to our question from our listener, Adrian.
Hi, Michelle and Craig. My name is Adrian, and I'm a 38-year-old man who works in tech. I've been considering recently whether to take a major career risk, which is starting a new company, or to stay in a high-paying job that will afford me the opportunity to have a family. These dreams seemingly are at odds. Given my experience in an emerging industry, I feel like I have a real chance at starting something big and making a difference. In the long run, I think it will pay off, but it will require years of hard work, long hours, and financial instability. Not the best circumstances for having a family. The alternative is putting my career dreams on the back burner and prioritizing financial security so that I can support a family in the future at some unknown time. I'm currently single, but I'm also serious about settling down when I do meet the right person. At my age, and knowing I do want a family one day, how should I approach this decision? Should I prioritize my career dreams or financial stability and starting a family earlier in life? Thanks, Adrian.
Sounds like a familiar dilemma, you know, and the first thing I think about is how I wasn't a risk taker. I think because of the stability that we had in our family, I thought that that was the way you led a life, that things were linear, you know. If you did the right things, if you checked certain boxes, that you were winning in life. And as a result, I think my view of what life could be was way too narrow. But I was off on that path, not really thinking about anything but checking the boxes. So I did what I was supposed to do. I went to grammar school, got great grades, went to the best high school I could go to, got great grades, applied to an Ivy League school, got in, did well. Never asking myself why. What do I care about? After graduating from Princeton, went to Harvard. Why? Because I got in. And I thought, well, maybe I want to be a lawyer, but it seems like it's a very linear thing. And it wasn't until I was practicing law that life hit me in a certain way and I started to think about my why. And that sort of made me stop and think, wow, I've been kind of stuck on this path that isn't even mine, thinking that what was important was a good job, the right salary, the right school, that there were like these answers. And none of it had to do with happiness.